everybody. Alright, so today we're doing a video, a top 10 video. Well, not really a top 10, it's actually a 5. Yep, only gonna be 5 entries in this list. Sad as all can be. And then, it get any worse? Well, it just did. Because this is a list that a lot of you would not want to watch, but are gonna have to because you chose to click this video. And according to the laws, once you click the video, there's no escaping. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so I've talked about my favorite movie studios, or like just ranking some of the major film studios for fun. I decided to go a little bit closer down and look at some minor studios. Not minor studios, for exact. The 5 corporational little mini studios that are under the Disney ownership, since I consider Disney my favorite major studio. Since I decided not to go in with all the money buying or whatever, since that kind of feels like something should not be working on, since I don't work for Disney, okay? Look, I'm not a chairman, I'm not a CEO. I don't have a job at the company, so why should I be bothered by the corporate decisions they make? Instead, just be bothered by the corporate decisions they make when it comes to what they release. And granted, while I have released some flops, every company has, overall, for the good ones they have released, I do have a great praise for. And I will go ahead and take a look at them. We'll be looking at 5 little companies that Disney is ownership of, and just rank them. Because I haven't talked about these companies separately before. And, it's a nice little thing to bring them up, And I'll spend a lot of time as I can talking about them, since there are only 5 entries. It's nice to, spend some more time dealing with them. Since, again, I haven't really talked about them separately, rather just talk about the overall Disney Corporation. So let's go ahead, look at the 5 companies Disney owns, and just rank them based off, which I find to have the best variety of content, and the best variety of movies. Because, again, I don't hate Disney for their ideas, because there can come out some pretty good movies. And also remember that I'm not going to be including Walt Disney Pictures brand, the original brand Walt Disney Pictures. That's kind of an obvious choice. There's really not much I can do with that. Well, that's just kind of lazy. So yeah, I'm including any that isn't Walt Disney Pictures, their main starting company, because they have everything going for it. They have the live action films, the animated movies, the Pixar movies, and I don't think I'm just going to talk about those separately. Instead of just have them all crammed into one. Alright, let's look. Starting off this list is the company that started it all. Or, I don't know, the company that began it all with their kind of idea. Walt Disney Animation Studios. I rank this at the top because I will admit, despite having a good variety of movies, there's kind of just something about their variety that may be inferior to the rest on this countdown. I like the idea that this company does. This little branding is used to release animated movies, not just random animated movies. Each one of them that are released are based on a certain old true story or old fairy tale or whatever that can be told in a modern, cute, fun, animated way. And I also like the ideas of animation they come up with, or the trends they like to use, talking animals, or crazy shenanigans, Disney princesses, etc. And it's always fun to see all the little new trends that can be thrown into the movies they make that are already based on something timeless no child would ever know about, but after watching the movie can understand better when they get older. So that's kind of what I like about this company. But again, it kind of makes it stand a little bit away from the rest. Because even though I love that idea, maybe it's just not the idea that makes it my personal favorite. It just makes it a great one, just not the best one. And yes, they have some great ones. I will be talking about for each of these which one is my favorite that they put out. Lion King is obviously a fan favorite of many, and it is personally my favorite that this brand has given us. But they also have some other great ones too. They have Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Peter Pan. There's a lot to look into what this company creates. Because, unfortunately, with all the great anime movies they come up with, they obviously need to find some good ones that can be remade into live action. That's what I feel like they're going with now, trying to figure out some good ones that can be remade in live action. Hope that's not what they're doing, but yeah, it's still going strong to this day. I will admit, I do kind of miss the classic 2D animated movies. I wish those could make a comeback. I mean, they are making a little comeback in the world of TV. I have seen Disney release some Disney Plus exclusive 2D stuff, but I want to see 2D on the big screen again. Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to come back to. Oh, and one other thing I want to talk about that a lot of you could be asking. I probably don't think you are, but you would, you maybe would, and I decided to go ahead and bring it up right now. I haven't seen Encanto, and I'm probably not going to. Alright, let's move on. Now is a company that they have recently taken their branding off. It's been very sad to see this get taken to their studio to some people. For many reasons. One, this was home to a lot of stuff. It seems like it was a little too big for just Disney. It also had the famous Fox name that's not really there anymore. But with all those sad things aside, we can still at least watch the movies. It's not like they completely taken them off. I mean, they have the rights to Hulu, so Hulu can at least give them good. So even though their separate funding's defunct, the movies they made aren't defunct, thankfully, because films like Alien, Fight Club, or whatever, those are still, those can still be seen. Just, you can't look. You have to look at them as Disney films now. Yeah, imagine going to someone saying, "Hey, have you seen that new Disney movie, Die Hard?" That just sounds kind of. Anyway, so yeah, even though they've gone through a crazy history, they still have some good movies. And nowadays, they've released some good ones still to this day, I'll admit. Not great ones, but still some pretty good ones. They had an Oscar winner, Nomadland. They had Steven Spielberg film West Side Story. They had Nightmare Alley. They had, what else is there? A bunch of Hulu originals. Yeah, they've been taking a lot of stuff on Hulu. And yeah, fortunately, Family Guy and The Simpsons are still airing. I feel like those shows should be ending soon. They really should, because they're fine already. We don't need more of them. But TV aside, they make some good movies. It's mostly Alien, and I guess I could count it the Star Wars movies, because those are Disney now, since Disney did buy Lucasfilm before. But there's some of the original ones have still been under Fox's banner, because you can still find the logo used when you watch these movies on Disney Plus, meaning that they're still technically 20th century films, except for the sequel trilogy and the 2 spin-offs that came out. Those are really the only Star Wars movies that have anything with this, but the ones that did release under Fox can technically still be considered Fox or Studios, whatever. But one good thing most fans can think about for this is the X-Men can come to Marvel soon. Maybe this means the X-Men and Fantastic Four will soon join the MCU. So that's a plus, right? And we are going to get an Avatar franchise soon, so that should also be a plus, maybe. I don't know. Think of some positives, okay? Well, we got to think positive about these things. As bad as something like this may sound, come on, it is not the end of the world. I'll tell you, there could be another thing that could be the end of the world, but this is far off. It's just a little purchase. A pretty big purchase at the time, but looking at it now, I think we're all used to it. Lucasfilm. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take that name. I'm going to go ahead and just say it. This acquisition did not bother me. It bothered a lot of people, but it didn't really bother me. Yeah, I was young, maybe that's why. But what I actually did hear around 2015, when the new Star Wars film was coming out, Force Awakens, I started getting into Star Wars, and that's when I learned that 2 years ago or 3 years ago that Lucasfilm was purchased by Disney, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I don't mind, because as long as the movies that they release or the shows or whatever are still good. And even though many people will say that they failed, I'm just going to go... I've already talked about how much I praise the sequels more than other people do. Because the sequels have been just getting too much hate. It's okay if you guys don't like the movies, but the way you're hating on them is the way where, when I say I like them, I just get criticized for it. Because, the movie cannot be that bad to where people who like it have to get made fun of for it. I don't know. But yeah, since of the Lucasfilm acquisition, Disney owns all the Star Wars movies. But what about all the other movies they did, like Indiana Jones films? Well, you could. It's yes, but also no. Yes, because there is technically the Indiana Jones attractions at Disney World that we could argue was a way to prove that it could be Disney. There's a new Indiana Jones film that's said to come out. I still want to believe that's going to be canceled. I want it to be canceled, actually. But that's been said to be under Disney's name. But at the same time, there's been a lot of 4K releases of Indiana Jones, and none of them have been under Disney's banner. So technically, Paramount still owns the franchise's movies. But I guess it's the overall franchise alone, like the character, is under Disney's name. So I don't know what's going to happen with him now, but I'm just hoping that we don't get any more Jones films. We don't need them. Lucasfilm has done some great stuff with the Star Wars movies, and yeah, I will admit, even after George Lucas quit on it, these movies are still lots of fun. And hey, you can't, and hey, at least one thing I can say is The Mandalorian was a hit. That's one thing people can agree on, The Mandalorian being good. Or maybe some of the other shows that came out, like Bad Batch, or Rebels, or maybe Book of Boba Fett. I mean, it was alright, I guess. Or maybe that new Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's coming out. That should be good, right? We hope it is, but look, I have belief that Lucasfilm can live on still as a good company, even without George Lucas. I'm sorry, but I am not at all bothered that Disney owns Lucasfilm. Because they're still doing fine with them. They're at least giving the credit that these older movies deserve, and are still at least doing a good job paying homage to them with the new stuff they put out. And as much as other people disagree, I personally think Lucasfilm is still doing fine to this day. Alright, now here is a company that has kind of gotten a better reception as of Disney's purchase. Marvel Studios. In 2008, when Marvel Studios was first starting, they released their first film, Iron Man, under Paramount Pictures. Paramount Pictures was released Iron Man, while the second film, The Incredible Hulk, was released under Universal Pictures. But as of 2009, Disney decided to acquire Marvel, the overall Marvel Corporation, not just Marvel Studios, the entirety of Marvel. And the acquisition agreed that Paramount can finally stop worrying too much about dealing with Marvel, as they have so many other crap to deal with. I mean, they have the Indiana Jones movies, right? They have Star Trek, Mission Impossible. They have a lot of stuff they have to worry about. So they don't want Marvel on their backs. They have to give it to Disney. Let's see what Disney can do with Marvel. And as Disney purchased Marvel, the franchise has been getting better and better. We've got the Avengers movie. We got Guardians of the Galaxy. We got so much incredible expansions that Marvel has brought us. And thankfully Disney isn't too scared to share the rights of their movies with some other companies. Because after the acquisition, the only film that Disney doesn't own under Marvel's name was The Incredible Hulk, since Universal released that movie. So now Incredible Hulk remains the only non-Disney MCU movie, as it's still just under Universal's name. But that's not all. We also have Spider-Man movies, because when Spider-Man was announced to come to the MCU after the Amazing Spider-Man movies didn't do so well, Sony is still releases them, and Disney doesn't mind because they're still working pretty well. I mean, at least with the recent one, No Way Home, they could bring Doctor Strange to us. They can bring many things to us. And it was a great hit to all fans, as now Marvel Studios is considered to be Disney's finest exception of big box office releases. Remains the highest grossing big franchise ever. Franchise, studio, it's a franchise, come on. I love all the ideas that Marvel bring us, and I sure hope that it keeps getting better as time goes on. Even if Avengers Endgame is still my favorite, hopefully more future films will live on to that hype. But I will admit, the one company that seems to have put out just a lot more was Pixar. In my opinion, Pixar is a much superior company. Their movie, the best movie that Pixar's released in my opinion, like Toy Story 3, which is my favorite that Pixar's released, even though that's my favorite of Pixar, it isn't my all-time, it isn't better than Marvel. So even though Marvel Studios is home to a movie that's superior, Pixar is home to more great movies than Marvel is, in my opinion. They have crap like Toy Story, WALL-E, Up, Coco, Incredibles, Inside Out, Finding Nemo. They've been putting out so much. Like, I mean, I just think Pixar is doing so great that it doesn't matter what goes through. And nobody cared about the acquisition because it barely was an acquisition. Pixar started in the 90s with their first ever animated film, Toy Story, which was under Disney's name. But people forget that Disney didn't actually own Pixar at the time. So people thought that Pixar was Disney's next icon, but it actually wasn't. It was just an icon that Disney helped with. It wasn't acquired until 2006, but nobody cared because they didn't change at all. Their movies are still legendary. And I love the trend it starts there too. It only has one trend: making their movies as creative as ever. And their pacing is great as ever too. I like that having one trend than many trends. Maybe I did say I like the idea that Walt Disney Animation Studios has a bunch of trends, but Pixar just really only needs one, as well as their pacing to all the movies has a similar feel to it, and I personally like that because each of them tell a different and very unique story. They're like ideas that you can't really think of yourself. Only Pixar could think of them. A movie where toys come to life when no one's watching. A movie where monsters come out of your closet, but it's part of their job. A movie where the emotions inside your head can control so much. A movie where puberty makes you turn into a red panda. Okay, I still have yet to see that one, but it's pretty funny from what I heard of it. It definitely does follow the Pixar trend. Pixar's just been doing so great. It's a childhood favorite, but to this day, I still love every bit of it. So even though I'm getting older, Pixar will never die and will always remain my favorite of animation. Okay, so I really didn't have much of this scripted, but maybe scripts will be coming soon. I'm thinking about maybe starting doing scripts more so I can understand what I'm saying. Because for the majority of time, I'm just I'm talking like I'm talking like I'm talking. You get what I mean? But maybe by next video I'll have a script so my reading won't be so stupid. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just enjoy going through this. Maybe I have a trend. Maybe I like to talk like this. Maybe I'm better off just not having a script and thinking of whatever comes to mind. Maybe I'm better off not having anyone else in my videos. Just be me, myself, and I. You guys remember that old Funko Pop fella that I used to show as a side character? I don't even know where he went. Where did he go? I don't know, but I don't like him anymore. So we're not using that character. It's just going to be me for the rest of these videos. Shorts, maybe I'll have some extras, but these videos, I'm only doing them. And I'm not going to have a script because I like to think of whatever comes to mind. Don't like it? Unsubscribe. It's your option, not mine. Just saying.